Well, hi there. I'm Diana Montford, the world's first transgender television journalist. Born male, became female. We all know the drill if you watch regularly. Anyway, my guests are transgender women, women of transgender experience. Ms. Ceyenne Doroshow, who is CEO and founder of Glitz, Gays and Lesbians.
Living in a transgender society.
Yes. And Madison St. Gathers, programming director for Princess Janae Place. And also an expert professional makeup artist, I might add.
Yes, ma'am.
So we are going to discuss, now I know this happened a while ago, but a certain comic who, until he said this terrible, brutal, prejudiced thing, was completely unheard of, said that if he were with a trans woman without realizing it, and then after having had sex with her, she informed him, or he somehow found out that she was trans, to quote him, quote, "that bitch be dead," end quote. Now, we are not going to name this comic because any publicity is good publicity to an actor, even bad publicity. So we've decided that on this show that is seen all over the world, that goes on YouTube and presumably will last, if not forever, for a very, very, very long time, we have decided not to name this man because he's been given enough publicity. Now, I know that he's a victim of conditioning. It's not really his fault that he feels that way about trans people. That's my opinion. But you know, it's just not right. Anyway, ladies, what do you think?
Oh my goodness. I think that this person has gotten so much publicity for being a total moron. It's so sad. And to make a comment like that tells a lot about how men are socialized in this country.
Exactly, yeah.
It's very sad that you would be comfortable saying that you would kill someone. Anyone.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What do you think?
I actually had to do some homework. So in the homework, I found out the interview with Janet Mock is what triggered all of this. So they kind of they didn't prompt him with it. They actually did it on purpose. They held up the image of Janet Mock's book, and he referred to he misgendered Janet Mock, who is absolutely a dream and beautiful.
Yes, indeed.
And a very nice person.
Yes, indeed.
And chose to still misgender her, and then chose to not take it back, regardless to what your beliefs are. That's a beautiful young woman.
Yes.
But you chose to be a pig about the situation.
Yes.
And this is common in the urban kind of situation.
Well, it's common in all situations.
Yeah. So
if they're straight men, especially not all that straight.
All that, yeah.
They always say something.
Because he didn't look all that masculine to me. But on the other hand.
But I do.
But put in this situation, and the way that they pushed their book up there in front of him, first of all, it was a slap in the face to Janet Mock. The young lady that asked Janet Mock to be on the show, while everybody was screaming and yelling, she should have been held accountable.
Yeah, and maybe she was.
I don't think so.
Well, given the fact that now this radio station, also to remain nameless, it was always well known. And I mean, they had people like Missy Elliott and other people, you know.
They've taken a beating.
Yeah, but they've also become world famous in ways they never dreamed of.
Yeah, now they stood their ground.
And this man, this comic, a most unfunny gentleman, obviously, I did not hear the radio broadcast. I will be 1,000% honest. But to say that he would kill a woman who turned out to be transgendered, even if he was only joking. I've been a stand-up comic. I've been a nightclub MC. You're supposed to say what people are thinking. You're supposed to push the envelope. You're supposed to be a little crude and quote-unquote accessible. So if it was that, I kind of sort of forgive him. If he meant it, he needs a therapist, you know? What do you think? You seem so shocked by... We're not shocked. somewhat dismayed, but we've heard it all before. Haven't you?
I'm not shocked because of my background. I'm from the West Indies, and as most people know, in Jamaica, being trans is a death sentence.
Yes.
Being gay is a death sentence
Yes.
unless you can hide it, and being lesbian is almost like being trans.
Yeah. Oh well.
More accepted.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Well,
More accepted.
no, not really. In Jamaica,
If there are two housewives getting it on while hubby's at work, that's more acceptable than a gal with a crew cut.
in Jamaica, the way that it works with lesbians is that men believe that if you're a lesbian that doesn't like men, because they believe that there's the TV lesbians, the ones that like each other, and then there's a man in the middle somewhere,
sure.
okay? But if you are truly a lesbian in Jamaica, men will rape you to try to get that lesbian out of you.
Yeah.
And I know a very famous lesbian activist that can no longer live in Jamaica. She's here now. She was in the show Yardies, the movie Yardies, and she had to move here because she became so vocal about being a lesbian there that she went to a club and they raped her in the bathroom.
When they rape her, to quote unquote get the lesbian out of her, is it possible that these men are so misguided that they think they're trying to help this woman?
That's what they think. They think that but then it dates back to slavery in the West Indies, because what used to happen in the West Indies were slave masters would take the most virile male slaves and rape them to demasculize them.
In front of everyone.
In front of everyone. So this is why West Indian men hate gay men, and when the transgender population started to come out, they treated them as though they were gay men. They were stoned, they were beaten. I know of a young woman whose car recently she was in the car going to work, and they flipped the car over.
Is she all right?
She's fine now. She moved to Kingston, a bigger city,
Right.
and she sort of is lost within the city now. But she can't go back to her hometown. Me, as a person from the West Indies, I've never gone back for a family reunion because I know that it would be a problem, because it's in Mandeville, which is one of the main towns where they are attacking gay, lesbian, transgender people. There are more transgender youth that live under bridges and in gullies in Mandeville than any other part of Jamaica.
That's so sad.
And it's one of the richest parts of Jamaica.
That is, well, not unlike Brazil, where that also.
Yeah, it's also a boot camp kind of situation for most trans women universally.
It's very sad.
And oddly enough, the men who disdain them in public go under that bridge and say,
and sneak through the windows.
This is a common even here. This is a common practice. And we, the community, could have done correctly. I preferred to shut up. For the first couple of weeks of this, I had to stay mute. I did a little Facebooking and
you mean the
Instagram.
comic saying what he said?
Yeah, I'm not going to give this guy any kind of pleasure.
Exactly.
But
it was the mainstream media.
Oh, yeah, that pushed it.
They basically threw gasoline on the fire.
At the time when this was happening, before this happened, trans women were being taken out globally, being killed. Where was the compassion for this conversation with the amount of transgender deaths going on in the world, in New York City, all over? Did they not think about this when this was set off?
Every year we do the Day of Remembrance on this show. And we always have to shoot it the week before we show it, which is unusual for us. Often we shoot 2 or 3 weeks or even 6 weeks before we show, because, horror of horrors, there might be a murder near airtime, and we have to be as on top of it as we can.
I understand that.
So, I mean, I'm going to hold forth and bore you all silly with my dumb theory about this man. I think that the establishment, the larger society, whatever you want to call it, abhors trans people because we are the embodiment of self-determination. And self-determination is inimical. It is bad for the establishment because they want little conformist slaves who go to work and then go to school, and then they're good little slaves, and then they die and no problems, no individuality. Excuse me. We, being the definition of individuality and self-determination, are a thorn in the side of the establishment. They hate us because we show others that it is possible to think for yourself, to choose your life as you want it, to live the dream. I think this comic and all many men have been conditioned to despise us without even realizing why. Divide and conquer. If we all coalesce, if we all come together, we're unbeatable. If we're at one another's throats, well, then divide and conquer, you know? That's my theory.
I had went to, right after the thing had happened, the week after, I went to a rally in New York, and it was horrible. It was done by my community. I won't even claim what they said, but what the rally basically said was, now you go out. Because this was said, go out, and you turn the town out. If somebody looks at you, get them physically.
Trans people said this?
Yes. I was mortified.
You know, two wrongs don't make a right, and
Exactly.
violence is always bad.
I was hurt. I was mortified. They called out cisgendered people and told them to hold up their arms until they bleed and ache. That's disgusting.
It's not only disgusting, it's very dangerous because we are a minority, and if we do that to cisgender people, God only knows
But
what they
hold
would
on.
do to us.
Here's they were volunteers that they asked to hold up signs. After they had the signs, they told them this is a punishment. You hold them up until you can't hold them up.
Oh my!
It was disgusting. It was slavery in reverse.
Yeah.
It was hard for me to sit there. I am 52 years old. I'm not a child. I'm not going to sit and speak on that level about life. I'm going to talk about unity and how we need to walk away from this kind of stuff and be united, no matter what color we are. Most of my best friends are cisgendered. My mother is cisgendered. And if I don't like
So was
cisgendered
mine.
people, yes. Then,
What a coincidence.
Yes, surprise. Where did this happen? And how could you learn to hate where you came from? Now, maybe you have had a hard life, and we all have.
Well, every
think-
trans person who ever lived has had a hard life.
I think we being of a certain age where we had no rights to the youth today that ran this thing, you're living in a world of rights and so many different.
I was 13 in 1969 when the Stonewall Rebellion happened. It would have been inconceivable to us that the world has progressed the way it has. Inconceivable. Like a different planet.
I remember.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, in the 70s, I didn't see what we have now. In the 80s, I didn't see it. In the 90s, it was vaguely getting a peek.
In the 80s, it was actually, they suspected us all of being HIV positive
Yeah.
and walking time bombs.
And trying to take out the world with it.
Yeah, really. It was ridiculous, but, and sad. But,
And I don't think any of our parents woke up in the morning and said, oh, I love my trans daughter. Oh, my God, this is fabulous. I don't think that was the concept at all.
I have
think
a hunch,
parents had
yeah.
a hard way to go.
well, no, mine were actually pretty cool, but my mother was a former actress, and my father didn't want any competition, so he'd rather have me be a girl than a boy. So,
My mom was a school teacher. My father was a mason and a bus driver, very butch and very, you go play football. It's not going to work. Didn't work for me.
I used to get sad when my father would play football with other kids, and I would be sitting on the sidelines basically checking out my hair in the You know, I knew I was not what he wanted, but
I knew I wanted to go to the game for the hot chocolate and bagels.
Oh,
That's
and those
all.
hot
And the little
football
boys running
players,
around.
yeah.
That's all I wanted. But more than that, I wanted understanding. And today, in today's
closer,
society, I'm here.
misunderstanding, yeah.
Today, we have so many opportunities. This hate that I see young people having, or our community having, we have to evolve to a place where we accept ourselves. Forget what society thinks. We have to be individually conditioned to believe in ourselves.
yes, and also we are a minority, and if we had the temerity to attack cisgender people, they would take blowtorches and make us into lip gloss. It would not be fun. You know, I mean, let's face it.
I look at the transgender community. I've been a part of for 35 years, almost 35 years, and I'm 55 years old now, and so
I'm 61. Since everyone's told
yeah,
their
we're
age.
telling age. And I look at it like I don't see any unity in the community,
No.
and I truly believe that a divided community fails. It just fails. And I think this community is divided by so many things. It's divided by race. It's divided by who's passable, who's not passable. It's divided by economics. It's divided by education. And I think that as a community, we're failing. And even in this instance with this comic, I think we failed. Because rather than, beating up cisgender people and all these things that they wanted to do at this rally, why not go after
the funders
of these venues that he is appearing at?
Yeah.
I didn't see a ton of transgender people go to his concert and boo him off the stage.
Well, here's the thing.
I didn't see.
We're living in such a shithole of life right now. I don't see these same children at any of those rallies where the real shit is jumping off, that was speaking all this hate and violence. Why aren't they on the front line of that shit, frontlining it with them?
It doesn't. They're not there.
Because it was just the moment. This is reality. This is life for me. At 50-something, I can't fight, sweetie. I'm bad at bouncing a ball.
But I also think that I cannot say, I'm West Indian, I cannot say this word. Millennials feel entitled.
Oh,
in ways we never did.
In ways we never felt entitled. And I look at myself and I'm like, I never felt entitled to anything. I always felt like whatever I got in my life, I had to really work for it.
Yeah, really.
At a time when if someone found out I was transgender, I would have lost it.
I've lost jobs because of that.
Yeah, me too. So did I. And so I'm wondering where this sense of entitlement comes from.
It comes from all the opportunities given that we didn't have. We had none of this. Our struggle was struggle. It came with real tears and sweat and the anticipation of getting on a train where now you can ride the train and be free. But it's more freedom now than we ever had.
But what are they doing with it, though?
They're shitting.
There's one thing to be free, but there's another thing to use your freedom
in
for
an
a
arrogant
purpose.
way. They're not so much free as they're arrogant and demanding.
We have employed girls. You have employed girls. Other agencies have employed girls. They don't want to do the work. They want to look pretty. They want to get the check.
And they want the
but
title.
Don't want to do the job. And then when you lose the job, it becomes a violent crime. You fired me because I didn't want to do the job. How dare you? And the reality is, if you want the job and you want the check, you got to do the work, sweetie.
And that's whether you're cisgender or trans.
Yeah. That's not a gender thing. That's an employment thing.
Let me tell you what happened to me right in this studio. 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was coming in, and this woman, who was not a producer here, she was with someone, laughed in my face, got very abusive. I was told to complain to the manager. I was so stunned. And I did. And then I came out, and then she really got in my face and got quite aggressive and nasty. Then I went right back into the manager and said, if that woman does that again, I am going to call the police and sign a complaint against her because this is a hate crime.
Yeah.
But blame the victim. He said, oh, no, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. But he spoke to her, and she and her husband and child, and the child, by the way, was of indeterminate gender. It was like 9, 10 years old. I could not tell if it was a boy or a girl. So I think she hated me seeing what was coming for her kid. But
that could be the reality.
Yeah.
Of it.
But anyway, she scampered out as soon as she heard police. So, I mean, a lot of these people can be cowards and think that we have no rights and are doormats to be used, and then find that we do have rights.
Now, remember, I went to a comedy show, and right on 42nd Street, and the comic, he thought about it. He was about to go in, and I gave him such a look.
Good girl.
And that look, he said, I'm not going to mess with you. And I nodded my head.
Good for you.
But that look was the look of ice. And I've navigated life with that look, because that look tells the thugs, the boys, the mothers, the fathers, the children, I better not do this one. Sometimes it's behavior that makes society. I'm sure this guy's a pig. I'm sure
that comic?
I'm sure he's a pig. But I'm sure there's an element of ratchetness that goes with that whole circle.
You know, he might actually be a nice church-going mama's boy who's trying to be badass on the radio. I'm serious.
Yeah, he might, and it might be the question that was asked on air. We don't know what this man is doing in this. He might be a chaser, for all we know.
Well, also he might just be a comic, and I know I
Doing his
myself.
spiel.
You try to be outrageous. You try to be funny. You just say stuff. In comedy school, you're taught follow your first impulse, whatever it is.
I had a dream about being a comic.
No, it was my nightmare, but that's not
Getting all the straight people. I just want an audience of straight people so I can get them. There's so many jokes.
Now you're being just like those girls.
There's so many jokes that I want to tell that they'll probably get, but through comedy, it's able to get this gender thing out correctly and maybe some understanding, because there are some situations like the bathroom situation that everybody was up in arms. Do you really want me in the bathroom fluffing while you're fluffing? No. That's the reality of it. If you were a woman, a cisgendered woman, and I walked in the men's room, would you be happy? And I'm going to be dressed wonderfully.
My question
like
was
a
to
flower.
that whole situation, even though I've never really had those, thank God I've never really had this problem. But the
this
question
is what
was,
society
would
threw out
you
there.
want me in the bathroom with your husband?
Yeah. Very simple.
No, but he would.
Exactly. So it's like,
My thing was, if you're a trans man, you're 6 feet tall, you have a beard, you built up your muscles, you stride into the ladies' room. Yo,
Yeah.
girls, out of the stall.
I'm going to jail.
Yeah,
Go to jail.
exactly. But technically, you were born female, so I mean, imagine that.
But a
Women
trans
would be.
man.
Well, Grace Jones in the '80s went into the Bloomingdale's ladies' room. She was pregnant.
Oh, they ran after her.
They thought she was a man, and the security guards ran in, and she had to lift up her shirt and say, "Have you ever seen a man who's pregnant?"
And she would show more than just her shirt. She would show them the cat here. And it's really disgusting that the bathroom is something we're arguing about when there are lives being taken. We have much.
but I don't
fish to
think
fry.
that the cisgender, well, I'm not saying all the cisgender community, but I think that the majority of the cisgender community do not care that trans people are being murdered, because they look at us as a disposable community.
Yeah.
It's like, well, good.
That's why
Yeah,
You know?
like exterminating roaches.
I've had so many problems with landlords and clients and my own personal landlords, and how the court finagles this whole situation. And they've literally said, well, sweetie, there are like rooming houses you can live in.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
As if I would ever. I had at one time, and I had to at one time. But I choose better for myself.
When my father died in 1992 in Maywood, New Jersey, the police came to my house, and my stepsister, that cunt, had informed them that I was trans. And they said to me literally, this is a direct quote, "New York is that way."
Surprise.
Yeah. I mean, and there was a real menace and threat in their voices.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, and not much seems to have changed since 1992.
No. We're still in that present state. I literally fought back and forth in a courtroom where the lawyer and the DA misgendered me, and I'm looking at the judge. At what point does this stop? At what point do you do your job, because that's against the law? Mm-hmm. Finally, because I said it and my lawyer said it, she didn't do it again, but her lawyer did it again. If he does that again, I personally sue him.
Good.
Is that the way we have to do this?
Apparently, yes. Apparently, until people get the message, but it's like racism. They never get the message.
No.
It subsides and it flares up again. It subsides and it flares up again.
We have that problem all the time, though. At Princess Janae Place, basically we give referrals for housing, and we do have an emergency apartment that we use, but it's full, and it's always full.
It's always full. Yeah.
And which is a shame. And we're actually looking for sponsors, people
And
that
girls
will.
cry when they have to leave.
Yeah, because where are you going? When you send them to landlords to try to get apartments, and we have someone that goes with them, if their ID is not changed over, or if they're, I don't know, most of these younger girls have no credit history, or
or they might have
But
police
here-
records,
here-
which
Yeah,
is really difficult.
the landlords discriminate against them, first of all, because they are of trans experience, because they have this preconceived notion that you are going to be
gonna bring
an
trouble.
outrageous sex worker. Not that you're just a sex worker, but you're an outrageous sex
Like
worker.
with
You're just going to
orgies
have
and guys-
dates coming in and out.
Right.
That it's going to be all this trouble and
You'll
drama.
snatch the neighbor's kids off and throw them at child molesters. Here, give me the money.
And so you look at them and you say, well, as a black woman, would you think that about me? And would it be okay for you to say that about me? So how is it okay for you to say that about this person?
But they do say that
They
about
do.
black and
They
about
do,
Latina
but it's
women.
very, it's pushed way under the cover. They might not rent to you, but you'll never
Well,
know
what you said
that's
earlier,
the reason.
urban. There are euphemisms
Yeah.
that people use, you know. But I mean, okay, politicians, North American, Jewish American, white politicians, chief of staff once said to me, you know, I can't understand a word you're saying. You speak so quickly. I really don't, but I'm half Spanish, and I saw the insult, you know. Ridiculous, you know. On that cheerful note, to that comic, sir, wake up. We are as human as you are. We're all more alike than we are different. Don't kill anyone. Work on yourself. Grow up. Be a good guy, right?
Be a man.
Exactly.
Because a man doesn't have time to worry about somebody else's genitals that's not after him.
Right. And
And-
even if you do sleep with a trans woman and you don't know it, and then you know it,
Don't
well,
go
lucky
to jail
you.
for it.
I mean, she's not an ordinary woman. She's special. You just got a unique person. Lucky you.
And be responsible, because those comments can get people killed.
Yes, absolutely. Anyway, my guests have been Ms. Madison St. Gathers, who is,
Who is?
what do you do?
Oh, I'm sorry. The director of programming at Princess Janae Place.
And Ms. Ceyenne Doroshow, who is?
The director and CEO of GLITZ, Girls Living in a Transgender Society. Gays and lesbians living in a transgender
See, we
society.
trans folks are achievers. We're not dumb people. Some of us are, but anyway. But most of us aren't, and we're achievers. Anyway, I'm Diana Montford. This has been the Diana Montford Show. I love you even if you're that comic, you know? Because you can't help the way you were conditioned by this society. But anyway, but nobody kill anybody. We all have to love one another. As Rodney King said, why can't we all love one another? I love you. I'm Diana Montford. This has been the Diana Montford Show. Take really good care of yourself. Trans ladies, be careful, you know. I love you a lot. I'll see you next time. Bye. Okay, that's one show we have under our
That was
belt.
wonderful.
It was good.
It was.
And
That's
what-
going to be funny. That's going to be, that's going to be
And
hilarious.
what's really sad is that we all have such awful experiences.
It is.
It is.
It
I
is.
mean, this is.
And we come from an era where we've lived it.
Yes.
These kids are so privileged today
I
to have
know
all
it.
this
They have
metrosexual stuff
They
going
have all
on.
this
and
money. Where do they get this fucking money?
We had none of it.
I see them in drugstores dropping like $20 on candy and shit every
Yeah.
day. What is this
And
crap?
we went through hell.
Please, like, all right, I'll eat an egg now and